right, let's talk further on this. With me now is Samantha Vinograd, who is a former senior advisor to the National Security Advisor under President Obama. Also with me is Shan Wu, who is a former federal prosecutor and CNN legal analyst. Good to see you both. All right, so Shan, you first. Stone and his attorneys, have been highlighting that prosecutors found no collusion, or they would have charged him with that. And, he stood outside that courtroom, really proclaiming victory. So is it as simple as that, that no collusion, no crime?
Well, there's definitely lots of crimes in that indictment, and I think he's really just blowing smoke. I mean, they really have him caught dead to rights in terms of the lying and trying to tamper with the witnesses. Also, to Jessica's point about what's going to happen when he comes to D.C., I mean, that is all going to be shut down. I was in front of that judge. She had a very, very strict construction of what her gag order meant. With regards to collusion, correct. There's not a substantive count in there about conspiracy. They don't quite have that last missing piece of connecting him directly to WikiLeaks. What really strikes me about the indictment, though, is assuming that the indictment's correct, the great eagerness on the part of the Trump campaign to want to get to this information with reckless disregard of the source. I mean, that point was well known that WikiLeaks had gotten this from Russian interference, and they didn't care. They seemed very eager to try to collude, even if they failed to do so.
So, Sam, is it possible that, this Stone indictment really is just another piece of the puzzle, that perhaps this is, just kind of a trickling, the prelude before much more significant charges were to come?
It's certainly possible, Fred. We can't rule out the possibility of a superseding indictment several weeks down the road. That could happen. And in the interim, one thing is very clear. We're all focused on this word conspiracy and collusion. Roger Stone did help Russia. Whether he did so in a legal fashion or not is something that the special counsel will look at. But Roger Stone knowingly communicated at the direction of the Trump campaign with an organization that laundered information on behalf of Russia. That's not my assessment. That's the Department of Justice's assessment about the role that WikiLeaks played helping the GRU, the Russian intelligence services, launder this information. And that information being made public is most definitely not anything that Vladimir Putin is crying about. And the fact that the president refuses to condemn the laundering of information, hacking, et cetera, really opens us up to this happening again in 2020.
Right. And then that one of the charges is about lying. Then there is the very, simple follow-up of what's behind the lie. Why, Shan, would so many who have been caught up in lying, I mean, so many charges of lying, what's behind the lie? Mueller team feels like it already has the truth, correct?
Yeah, and they probably do. I mean, they've been very opaque, so we don't know what they have. But it is very striking. I mean, there's just a remarkable number of false statements, prosecutions, and convictions going on in this case. And it really does beg the question, what is it that they're all trying to hide? I mean, when you look at the sort of open and shut case against Stone on the witness tampering, I mean, his threats to that person, too, which is probably Randy Credico, it's just, what is he so desperate to keep out in terms of wanting him, Credico, to go with a different version of events, And it's striking, Stone has been a fixture for many decades now. He's a dirty trickster.
4 decades, at least.
4 decades. And it's kind of interesting to watch his, transformation into the digital age here. And to Sam's point, what can we and what should we be doing to guard against that kind of dirty tricks in this age?
He is also conveying that he is extremely confident. He says not only is he not guilty of these charges, but he has said quite defiantly in so many different ways that he will continue to back the president. Take a listen to what he said.
There is no circumstance whatsoever under which I will bear false witness against the president, nor will I make up lies to ease the pressure on myself.
So, Sam, the feeling has been by so many that he was telegraphing. He essentially was sending a signal to President Trump. And the president has done the same in his, tweets prior to yesterday about, praising him that, he has guts.
Well, with respect to what Roger Stone says, I think at this point we probably have to look at his text messages and his emails, because the words that he speaks often don't match what he's actually put in other forms of communication. But the president's response to the Stone indictment and calling this a witch hunt, talking about CNN, and indicating that we had some sort of one-up on the indictment, all these sorts of things, really, again, play into the fact that he is refusing to condemn what are really serious charges: lying to law enforcement, lying to Congress, witness tampering, and other issues. And that, again, Fred, is just condoning this kind of behavior continuing and really opening us up to more vulnerabilities in 2020, because it's messaging that this kind of stuff is okay. He has harsher words for the FBI than he does for the Russian GRU who attacked our country, and members of his campaign that may or may not have been used as part of that attack.
We'll leave it there for now. Shan Wu, Samantha Vinograd, thanks so much.
Thanks.